Good morning, yogis. We root here as our foundation. Nowhere to go. Nobody else to be. Not from a place of apathy, but a place of power. Knowing that we have the capacity to hold what's here, just as it is. We have a bit of an active practice this morning, so I'm just giving us a little space before we come into our objects of focus. And when we eventually come into our practice, our varying objects of focus, excuse me, I like to think about there's a song some of you may know. I like music, classic rock from the 60s and 70s. There's a lyric in, I can't even remember who it's by, but there's a song and the guy says, hold on loosely, but don't let go. If any of you have ever been a passenger on a motorcycle or riding a horse or a donkey, you may have experienced that. You don't want to hold on too tightly to aggravate the horse or the driver of the motorcycle, but you also don't want to let go, fall off. And I think that's a really apt description of how we'll be navigating our practice this morning. This is a practice that my niece actually loves. It's called 5-4-3-2-1. And it's a really nice way to come into presence, as I would call it, or for her, it's a grounding practice to come back to what's real in the immediate surroundings, especially if the mind is stuck on the hamster wheel. Mine was yesterday, ruminating and worrying and anxious thoughts that are popping all over the place. And those experiences tend to bring us outside of the reality that's unfolding right in front of us. Hold on loosely, but don't let go. We'll be starting with the visual sense doorway. And my job in our practice today is to keep time. So I will be looking down at my timer. So I would like to invite you to scan your surroundings. And maybe just take a few moments to see, is this the spot that you normally practice, or are you somewhere different? I always practice down here, at least when I'm with y'all. And we're going to have about 5 minutes, maybe 1 minute each, for different objects that we're going to land our focus on. So you can start with a larger object. Try not to anticipate the next one you're going to pick. I have a box of yoga mats. Maybe that will be my first 5 minute or first 1 minute container. So I'll be probably popping down to look at my timer to make sure that we're staying on track. But invitation for you is to hold on loosely, but don't let go. Let your visual sense doorway play around with what you're holding. And I keep time. Color, texture, shape, size, light, dark. What's here? Start scanning your environment once again. And if your environment isn't that interesting, I screen share. So you can either take a look at the cattails that are on the screen, or even if you're looking at my video, what's behind me. Maybe you take something that's medium large in size, and we hold. Hold on loosely. Don't let go. Again, we scan our environment, maybe starting to move on to an object that's more medium in size, medium small, maybe. Here we go. All those same opportunities. Light, color. Is it partially hidden? Perspective. How far away is it? Is it moving or static? Pausing for a moment. Move on to something that is small in the distance or nearby. You know what to do. Loosely, curious. One more pause. Something tiny you can see. Ridges on your fingertips, an object. Last time with our visual doorway, sense doorway. We release the visual sense doorway, and you have this invitation for eyes to close. Interesting that I noticed in my own practice, even though I'm mostly keeping time, I'm trying to practice a long time alongside with you, that in the beginning, a minute barely seemed like enough time. And as I started to get towards the end of the first 5, it seemed like that same container of 1 minute started to get longer. Maybe that was similar or a different experience for you. We move on to the sense doorway of touch. 4 objects to touch, 1 minute each. Find your object, clothes, blanket, pet nearby. We start. Hold on loosely. Don't let go. Go beyond the most obvious sensations. We begin with those really large experiences and try to hone in our experience to more and more subtlety. Pause for a moment. If you need to open your eyes to reach for another object, that's fine. But the fewer sense doorways that are open, the more that single focus becomes illuminated. So eventually rest yourself on your next object and feel tactile sensation. We linger here. open and curious to this experience as it unfolds. Pause for a moment. Either keeping eyes closed, maybe you're able to pick up on your environment without opening that sense doorway. Your new object we hold. What is the object made of? Is it a textile? Is it metal, wood, fuzzy animal, fuzzy shirt? Stay open to the unfolding. Pause. Maybe be creative with your final choice. Find it and hold it. We close the tactile, feeling doorway. What can you hear? I always turn on this background noise so that folks don't get lost in cyberspace. So maybe this is your first object of hearing, the background noise. And then I'll turn it down for our subsequent rounds. Rather than it being just a background noise, perhaps it starts to take some priority. Pausing. And I'm going to turn off my mic. I'll pop back in about a minute. Scan your environment. Now, sound, as we get a little bit more subtle, may not be as easy to detect. So find something and see how long you can sustain your focus there. One more auditory sense doorway. Again, there may be challenges with finding a sound, especially if you're in a quiet place. But even the quietest humming of a refrigerator, the air conditioner, a fan, outside noises, inside noises. One more container of time here. Releasing the sense doorway through the ears. More and more subtlety. We find an object of smell. If you have a coffee or a tea, you may grab it, bring it closer to your nose. Or if there's something like incense or a candle in your environment, you may grab that. Maybe it's laundry detergent on your clothes or your hairspray. Here we go. Hold on loosely. Nutty, fragrant, citrus, clean, linen, floral. What's here? Letting that object loosely held, loosely release. One more. Maybe it's the general environment. It's interesting, like when you go to a friend's house or a family member's house, you can smell their house. It's not so easy to do in your own house. So pick up what you can. We part ways with the smelling doorway, and we finally round our practice out with any sensation of taste. So, again, if you have a coffee or a tea, you may take a sip. Or if you have any leftovers from breakfast or brushing your teeth, anything you can pick up on for the sense of taste. our last container of time. And we'll ride the wave of our experience for these last few moments. Just check out how your experience of time may have changed. Maybe the settling of the mind, even subtly. Invitation to come back to this practice as often as you need it. Now, ideally, this is a practice you can guide yourself through whenever you're feeling those thoughts in the mind, especially bouncing around, jittery, looping on the hamster wheel. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Really, you can start to quickly move through those about 1 minute at a time, and it would only be a 15-minute practice. Bring you back into this surrounding of what is real, what's happening right in front of you. Get out of the head, come into the concrete. We close our practice. You're welcome to bring hands to heart. May the merits of this practice be of benefit to all sentient beings. We include ourselves in the circle of compassion. Thank you so much for your practice. Have a beautiful day.